I was talking to a senior HR professional recently, and we were having a conversation about organizational culture and what issues they have at the firm. So one of the things that was mentioned is culture assessment tools. So a comment here that I wanted to make is that you should be aware of the tools that you're using, because many of those are proprietary and a lot of them are not scientifically valid. So there are a bunch of tools that measure personality, behavior, and natural proclivities, and those tools are scientifically validated. So for example, Big Five Ocean, that's one of the most robust tools. It's widely accepted across the world. It's most valid tool, for example. Then DISC, D-I-S-C, is a valid tool. Predictive Index is a valid tool. Caliper, CliftonStrengths is a good one. They all measure something different. So there is a difference in what they actually measure, like personality, behavior, talent, etc. Right? But these tools are valid. They've been subjected to scrutiny, and the data on their validity is available online. But there are many other tools that they don't provide any support to their claims, and especially if you see the claim, which is like hitting all the right buttons in terms of marketing messaging, like we are the most valid tool, head and shoulders above all the personality assessments, whatever. If you encounter that sort of messaging and there is no actual proof that this is the case, only just based on our proprietary whatever, then it's just not a scientifically valid tool. You should be aware of that. The most valid tool that exists today to measure personality, for example, is Big Five Ocean. It's called 5-factor model. So that's the most valid tool. There are no other tools other than that that is more valid than Big Five. So whenever you hear or see someone mentioning in their proprietary framework that they're using, saying that it is the most valid than all of the other personality or behavioral assessment tools, this is just plain and simple not true, right? And this should put you in a alert mode with regard to what other claims are not true as well. So if you're looking for accuracy at your firm when you're measuring, let's say, culture, then you should look at the validity if you're looking for accuracy. If you're not looking for accuracy, if you just want to work with the nice people, right? Maybe that was a recommendation or whatever, and you're fine with that, with those assessments that are not very accurate, then of course, go ahead and pick whichever poison works for you. Another thing I wanted to mention with regard to culture is that there are 8 culture types, and this is based on my research into 5 groups of scholars. So they were able to identify, in some cases 3, in some cases 4, each of those groups. But when I've analyzed them, they were actually talking about the same things in many situations. They've just labeled those organizational cultures differently. So I have a position paper on that. If you're interested, let me know. I'll send it to you. So there are 8 types of organizational culture that you need to be aware of, because whatever culture you currently have at your firm, and it's oftentimes a combination of those 8 generic types, the organizational culture will limit your goal attainment opportunities. So in other words, if management puts certain goals for organization which contradict the way we do things around here, so those goals will not be attained, right? There's probably going to be sabotage and just complete rejection of those goals. So this is something to keep in mind. And another thing with regard to cultures is that cultures change. So if you keep using the same old tools that you were using to assess the culture in the first place, and you were hiring based on those tools, so you set the parameters of what a great fit looks like for you, and you keep doing that, let's say for years on end, 10 years or so, without understanding that the clients, that the cultures, the organizational cultures actually change, then you're just setting yourself up for failure, because the culture in your organization might have already shifted toward a different kind of organizational culture. But if you aren't assessing that, if you don't understand what those generic types are, you might be hiring for the culture that had already moved on, right? And so this potentially could create unnecessary tensions or introduce organizational entropy, which in many cases you do not want. Anyways, that's about culture. See you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.